Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome aboard the Steve Malzberg ship. Just felt like saying that. I have no idea why. We have a huge show in store for you today. As we begin to speak on this very microphone to you, President Obama literally begins to speak, making his speech at the March on Washington 50th anniversary today. They had said it would be at 3, then they moved it up to 2:45, and it starts at 3:06 Eastern Time. So we will let you know what he said. We'll go in depth on what he had to say tomorrow. We will have the speech covered. We'll be speaking with former ambassador to the United Nations, former U.S. Congressman, former mayor of Atlanta, Ambassador Andrew Young will join us later in the show. We're also going to speak momentarily to the founder and president of the Center for Neighborhood Enterprise, Bob Woodson, who had some harsh things to say at an RNC event yesterday. He's African American, and he basically said that African Americans have taken a back seat to gays and immigrants under this administration. So we'll talk about all of that with you. We have breaking news also, in addition to the president speaking, as we take to the air. The jury, and it is a jury that apparently decided this, not a judge, the jury in the military court-martial penalty phase of the jihadist act committed by Major Nidal Hassan at Fort Hood has recommended the death penalty. They have recommended the death penalty in the case of the massacre at Fort Hood. Anything else, I think, would have been shocking. But we've had shocking things happen since this shooting. The shooting itself, the classification by the government of it as a case of workplace violence as opposed to terrorism, right on down the list. So that's breaking as we hit the airwaves, and we bring it to you because that's what we do here on the Steve Malzberg Show. By the way, you're welcome to weigh in on anything we talk about at 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660. The president, we don't know what he's going to say right now, although I have a feeling he's going to talk about himself a lot. We know that Alveda King, Dr. King, who is the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was with us a couple of days ago, and she urged the president not to talk. And she urged him to realize that he's not Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That's what she urged him to realize. Not to bring up the same things that Dr. King brought up, not to reopen the same wounds, not to talk about the same subject matter. So we'll see what he has to say. But he was on the Tom Joyner radio show yesterday, was Barack Obama. And, you know, to me, there could be no more perversion of using Dr. King, of using the legacy, of using the 50th anniversary, although he didn't do this today yet. He might. We might find out in retrospect he does do this. But he basically said that Martin Luther King Jr. would be all for Obamacare. Isn't that disgusting? Let's let you hear cut 12 here. This is the Tom Joyner radio show. They went into the Oval Office apparently, or at least on the phone they did. I don't know. And they talked to the president, and here's cut 12.
What do you think he'd say about Obamacare?
Oh, he'd like that. Well, because I think he understood that health care, health security, is not a privilege. It's something that a country as wealthy as ours, everybody should have access to.
Okay. First of all, everybody does have access to it. I don't want to get into the healthcare debate. We'll get into the healthcare debate later when we talk about how the people who will suffer, amongst those who will suffer the most, are those who have cancer. But that's for later. But, you know, true, he didn't bring it up. He was asked a question about it. But you know what the right answer to give would have been? The right answer to give to a man with humility, to a man who understands who Martin Luther King is compared to who he is. The man would have said, I can't say what Martin Luther King Jr. would have said about Obamacare. But I'd like to believe. But say, oh, he'd like it. Oh, he'd like that. Oh, yeah, he'd like that. First of all, it's called Obamacare, so he'd love it right away. I mean, please, a little humility once in a while. Just an itsy-bitsy, teensy-weensy bit of humility. Just might work magic for President Obama once in a while. Now, he went on to say, according to USA Today, he went on to say, after he made these, he was at a White House reception, Obama was, a broad cross-section of civil rights leaders, entertainers, politicians, social activists, and the writer here, who happens to be Dwayne Wickham of USA Today, says, I heard Obama quip to someone standing nearby, man, can you believe they have me speaking tomorrow, 50 years to the day of the greatest speech ever given? That's like following Jesus. Now, he might have meant that complimentary. I think he meant it more about him. Like, how am I supposed to be great? How am I supposed to live up to that expectation? What a position they're putting me in. I, me, I, me, because it's all about Barack Obama. It always has been. It always will be. But I don't think, and again, call me nitpicking. It was reported in USA Today, so I don't think they're nitpicking. I don't think that Martin Luther King Jr. fancied himself as Jesus or as important as Jesus. I think Barack Obama does. I think Barack Obama thinks he's much more important than Jesus. To be honest with you, that's my opinion. But to say, I think that Alveda King, if she were here commenting on that, might have said, don't call my uncle Jesus. He didn't think of himself that way. He shouldn't be thought of that way. Jesus is Jesus, and everyone else is on a different, lower plateau. That's what she might say. And you would think the president. But see, the president, it was twofold in my view. He was elevating King to Jesus status, if you will, because he wants to lower expectations for himself. How am I supposed to follow not just Martin Luther King Jr., but it's really like following Jesus Christ? You understand what he's doing there? Okay. Just thought I'd let you in on that. And then there's Melanie Campbell. Melanie Campbell is president of the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation. Here's what she had to say while she spoke. By the way, like 25, 30, 50 people have spoken today. So it's not like just Barack Obama is speaking, but of course he's the keynote, he's the president, and he's the first black president. But here's what Melanie Campbell had to say today. This will be cut number 40. Let's give a listen.
Today, racism and inequality does not manifest itself in a white sheet, Jim Crow laws, poll taxes, or barking dogs. But the dogs are still biting in other ways. Today, there are no white sheets, but there are judges in black robes in the U.S. Supreme Court who struck down Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act, opening the floodgates in many states to pass more voter ID laws to block people of color and young people from voting. Okay.
ID laws, voting. There was one speaker who was pushing for amnesty for illegals. One speaker, I think the governor of Maryland, said that he believed that Martin Luther King Jr. would be for gay marriage, when Alveda King told us specifically he would not, and he would be for right to life. This agenda pushing is what bothers me. Speak of there's no KKK, but there's judges in black robes. I mean, give me a break. Really, just give me a break. And it's sad, and I'd be very anxious to see how the president handles this speech. We'll talk about it a little later and more tomorrow. When we come back, though, we will be joined by the aforementioned Bob Woodson, founder and president of the Center for Neighborhood Enterprise, who is not a happy man when it comes to Barack Obama and the way blacks are being treated in comparison to illegals and gays in this country. We'll talk about that with him right here. Right here, he said, on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again, 1-800-949-8201. $99 installation charge, 36-month monitoring agreement at $36.99 per month. Payment by credit card or electronic bank account charge. For new homeowner customers with satisfactory credit history only. Local permit fees may be required. Certain restrictions apply. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
But I want to go back just for a second to the Trayvon Martin case, because I think that is what spawned this sort of desire for revenge almost from people on the right. And Heather, you had people on the right.
He got off scot-free. What do they need revenge for? I don't understand.
Just for the fact that African Americans dared to be outraged about the Trayvon Martin case, about George Zimmerman not being arrested, there is a sense of vengeance on the other side. And one of the things that you did see, Heather, was Trayvon Martin portrayed as a thug and a criminal. There was one person who said he was a rabid dog that needed to be put down. And so you now have in the wake of that, and because they're, for whatever reason, angry that people were upset, this need to portray almost all black men as criminal almost inherently. And one of the things that's now fueling that in the Chris Lane case is that you had this tweet by one of the alleged killers in which he said 90% of white people are nasty, hashtag hate them. So now we're off to the races.
All right, folks, I played that because as I intro our next guest here on the Steve Malzberg Show, welcome back. We welcome in our next guest, who is, of course, Bob Woodson, founder and president of the Center for Neighborhood Enterprise. And, Bob, it is great to talk to you again. You and I haven't talked in some time, but great to have you back on my show.
Good to be here.
All right, sir, you were a big hit yesterday. The RNC, Republican National Committee, held an event to commemorate the I Have a Dream speech, and you brought the House down by all accounts. You gave a speech, and it was rousing. And, you know, you basically you criticized a lot of black leaders for their obsession with Trayvon Martin, making him into a martyr. That was Joy-Ann Reid we heard on MSNBC as we came into this segment. We've heard martyrdom expressed by Jesse Jackson for Trayvon Martin, also by even Andrew Young said that he's a martyr earlier today on a show. And you also said that African Americans have taken a backseat to gays and immigrants. So why don't you give us your whole take on where we are 50 years after the King's speech?
Well, first of all, as I indicated, I was a participant not in the march, but certainly in the civil rights movement, having led demonstrations in Bayard Rustin's hometown of Westchester, Pennsylvania, and worked in the Urban League for 5 years. So I'm a solid veteran of the movement. But what has happened to the movement, it's really been hijacked and really morphed from its original high plane. Now it has become a race grievance and an extension of the Democratic Party. And as a consequence, it's just whining and complaining all the time, and to the detriment of the black community. And they keep invoking Dr. King's name, but Dr. King was a man who, first of all, who believed in challenge and debate within the movement. He also was a man who was morally consistent. He was opposed to the violence of the Ku Klux Klan, but he opposed with equal vigor the retaliatory violence of the Black Panther Party. And Dr. King spoke out against this. But this current crop of so-called black spokespersons are really polarizing this nation in a way that King never would have. And the very fact that only 27 young blacks die at the hands of non-blacks a year in America, and every 6 months, 3,000 blacks are killed by other blacks. So we have a 9/11 in the black community every 6 months. And yet, then they're going to tell us that the major problem facing black men today is the potential for being murdered by some non-white person. That's ridiculous. And the reason that they are so determined is because continuing to raise the race issue deflects attentions away from the more critical questions that are important to discuss in the black community. For instance, why, if racism were the major problem, why are so many black children failing in school systems run by their own people? Why are they failing in social service systems run by their own people?
Yeah, no, these are great questions.
See, and so Dr. King said that the highest form of maturity is the ability to be self-critical. And self-criticism and self-examination is what the black community needs more than anything else. But we're never going to get there. In fact, it's very dangerous for the civil rights movement to continue to press this Trayvon Martin issue because it can provoke a backlash in the white community. What happens if a group of whites decide to take the pictures of this white toddler who was shot in his face in Georgia, or the World War II veteran who was
beaten with a flashlight,
beaten with a flashlight for $50, or this Australian student who was shot by... What would happen if they collected these three names and asked for justice for these folks, and therefore, if the defendants went to trial, for them to say they're guilty before they even tried.
We're talking, we're talking to Bob Woodson, founder and president of the Center for Neighborhood Enterprise here on the Steve Malzberg Show. We got about 2 minutes left, sir, so I want to get to the point where you talked about how everybody's moved to the front of the bus, environmentalists, immigrants, gays, but not necessarily as much African Americans. Go ahead.
This president has talked less about poor people than anyone else. Everyone else has priority in this new civil rights movement. Gays, environmentalists, women, everybody, but you never hear talking about it. It's as if blacks who tilled the ground, planted the seeds, everybody else comes to the harvest, and low-income blacks and the blacks of all races are ignored in this current climate.
Why do you think that is?
Well, again, it's because they are not a power group. It's all about money. It's about press attention. And so they are being marginalized.
Even with the black president, huh?
Even with a black. Well, he has spoken less about poverty than any president in history.
Right. Mr. Woodson, it is an honor and a privilege to speak to you. I would like to have you back again soon. And I thank you very much for being outspoken as you are and not afraid to say what you think.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. That's Bob Woodson, founder and president of the Center for Neighborhood Enterprise here on the Steve Malzberg Show, and he was in the civil rights movement. Social activism dates back to the 1960s, and also worked for the Urban League. So he knows about what he speaks. When we come back, let's not forget Syria. They say it could happen as early as tomorrow. We're going to talk to a man who is just back off the plane from Syria, General retired Paul E. Vallely, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you're a baby boomer or senior, please listen closely to this important message. Politicians in Washington are quietly plotting to decrease your Social Security payments drastically, and they want to do it soon. In fact, despite rising prices at the gas pump, grocery store, and doctor's office, retirees have received a mere 1.3% annual increase to their Social Security checks. Meanwhile, food stamp recipients have seen their payouts increase over 30% under the Obama administration. That's shocking. So when we stumbled upon a weird trick that could add up to $1,000 to your monthly Social Security checks, we knew we had to share it with you. To get started, simply go to SocialSecurityFree.com. Yes, it's true. You can take simple steps that could add up to $1,000 to your monthly Social Security payouts. Newsmax says SocialSecurityFree.com is a critical resource for anyone over 50. Go to SocialSecurityFree.com.
You've heard the allegations on the news, and during the big game, pro football players have been using deer antler velvet to get a competitive edge. Banned at the London Games for its performance-enhancing qualities. Forbidden in major sports leagues for being an unfair advantage to athletes. Deer antler velvet is now in stock and available to try for free for a limited time only. Athletes have been using it for years for increased strength, increased endurance, muscle mass stress reduction, and yes, greatly enhanced libido. Everyone's talking about this miracle substance so powerful, it's being banned by professional sports organizations, but for a limited time, it's being made available to the general public. Best of all, you can try it for free by calling 800-678-5153. That's right, get Superior Velvet for free. If you're looking to boost your performance on the field and between the sheets, get the most powerful, proven product used by athletes for years now for free. Claim your free bottle today by calling 800-678-5153. That's 800-678-5153. Again, 800-678-5153.
Hey guys, do you know your testosterone level? You should. Each year, declining testosterone robs more of your energy, drive, motivation, and even your ability to perform in bed. Take control of your testosterone today. Write this number down because Progene, the leader in dual-action testosterone supplements, is now giving you a free supply if you call today at 800-592-4834. If you'd like to feel closer to 20 than 40 and get back that energy, drive, and confidence, call now to try Progene risk-free. Don't believe us? We'll even even prove it works. Ask about our at-home testosterone test kits and see for yourself what Progene can do for you. Be one of the next 100 callers. We'll triple your order and send you a full 1-month supply of Progene for free. A $70 value for only the cost of shipping and handling. Call 800-592-4834 for details. Know your level and kick your drive back into gear with Progene. Call 800-592-4834. That's 800-592-4834. Again, 800-592-4834.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV.
This is not your typical Screenfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. And, of course, we could be moments away or days away from a military strike on Syria. And joining us right now to talk about that is a man who is almost literally off the plane from Syria. I have the pictures of him here dining there and shaking hands with folks there. And actually, the pictures I'm looking at are actually from Turkey. But Paul E. Vallely, General, Major General, retired U.S. Army, and, of course, he is the chairman of Stand Up America. Our friend joins us. Hey, General, how are you, sir?
Steve, flew from Turkey yesterday, so having been gone for over 2 weeks, it's good to be back home.
Well, I'm sure it is, but it must have been quite a, I don't know, quite an educational experience and historical feeling of experience to be there while all this has taken place and in the run-up to a strike against Syria. Tell me what you found and tell me what you believe, and tell me most importantly, General, how do we know that it's the Assad government that used the chemical weapons and not just, you know, the collection of rebels, including Al-Qaeda, Muslim Brotherhood, and some say even some who were responsible for the Benghazi attack on our embassy that actually staged it? Well,
I think, Steve, your question prompts what other media are asking, and putting the blame on the opposition forces is exactly what the Assad government does. They use deception and psychological operations using the media to throw the blame on others when they do something. I was over there in Syria last week, and when the chemical attacks happened, and the reports came directly to the Free Syrian Army commanders, the generals and colonels I was with, that the district had been hit in Damascus, but it was a district where the FSA was actually forging ahead more into the other districts in Damascus. And Assad, of course, the only trump card he has now left, since he doesn't control most of the geography in Syria, is to use the Air Force and then to use the chemical weapons, as he's done on 4 other previous occasions. So it was him. There's no doubt about that. I was there. I vetted out, the different stories that were coming out. And I can tell you the Free Syrian Army wouldn't do anything against the Syrian people because that's who they're standing forward with and standing up for.
Okay, so what now do you recommend if you had the ear of the president and you could call the shots, let's say? What would you recommend the U.S. in conjunction with their allies do?
Well, first of all, this man over there is just as bad as Hitler over 100,000 people killed so far, a lot of children. The fact you'd use gas on your own people and attack them indicates that the international community needs to take charge and do something. They laid back with Hitler, and look what happened. So you have a similar situation here of a tyrannical government that is innocently slaughtering its own people. So we don't need boots on the ground, but here's what the Free Syrian Army commander said. Number one, Assad will fall very quickly if the Air Force is neutralized. So the recommendation I would make immediately to the president, you've got to take out the capability of the Air Force over there. Second, as Brett Stevens wrote in his article yesterday in the Wall Street Journal, symbolically you got to take out the palace. And those are the only targets they need to take out. That changes the whole ball game over there.
All right, and how will it change it? Because we've been told by at least the spokespeople for our government that the object is not to is not regime change here, but to send a message and to punish Assad for what he did. So what will that accomplish? Do you believe if they do what you urge them to do?
It stops Assad. It takes him down. I got a report in. He's already left with his family for Tehran this morning. So
you're saying that Assad, as far as your sources tell you, he's gone. He's in Tehran.
Yes, that's what I got this morning from some sources over there. But he is backed into a corner now. He needs to be taken down by his own people, and that's all they need is a little support. And so I think the international community would best be served to make sure the Air Force is neutralized, and the command over there, the Free Syrian Command, they're not radical Islamists. They do not want a Sharia Islamic state. They truly want a secular freedom and justice government. So with that in mind, the question always comes up, who do you sort out over there? I am the only one that's been on the ground to vet everybody. I've met with the Muslim Brotherhood, with Al Jazeera, a press conference over there. So I've completely vetted the good guys from the bad guys.
All right, we're talking to General Paul E. Vallely, U.S. Army, retired, chairman of Stand Up America, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Before I go on, I just want to do you have faith in those sources? Do you believe that when push comes to shove, we'll find out that Assad has already left?
Well, sure. That's
okay.
When you go over and vet and meet with people eye to eye.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm just asking you to get it on the record officially on the air here.
Nobody else has done that.
Okay, now let me ask you this.
Sure.
We've heard threats. If in fact he's gone, or if in fact he's there, what are their capabilities to retaliate? In other words, we've heard that they'll defend their country. We've heard threats from Iran that Israel will suffer the first strike in retaliation for any intrusion into Syria. Of course, if Iran is involved and they wanted to, everyone was so worried and is so worried that if Israel ever bombed Iran, that Hezbollah would be unleashed here into our streets and our shopping malls. I mean, what do you think we could expect to see as a result of an attack against Assad in Syria as far as Israel and the U.S. is concerned?
Well, if you do those two things, Russia's not going to do anything. Iran will try to do some things with more threats. They could release some of their cells to do things that they have through Hezbollah, through their proxy there. Israel is prepared to take action, and they can take care of themselves. So I don't see the situation escalating that greatly. But it will escalate if we don't help and take Assad down, because Syria is critical right now, and if it can go the right way with the Free Syrian Army, then that will be a dagger into the heart of Iran and Russia.
Okay.
Because if we don't do anything, and as they suspect, we'll just probably do a Band-Aid thing. Obama will look like he's doing something, but he really won't get to the root of the problem and solving it.
Right. So if he does something that doesn't go as far as you would like them to go, and it's something symbolic in nature, and doesn't get rid of Assad, then what do you think will happen then? Will it strengthen Assad in the end?
Well, sure, it keeps him in there. He's going to go down eventually anyhow. It's a question of when. So the Syrians, the generals that I met with, and the colonels, and some of the civilian people who have defected out of the government said basically they feel if Obama and the United States does nothing, that's going to mean that they're actually supporting the Muslim Brotherhood as they did in Egypt and are supporting the regime. And that's the way the Free Syrian Army, representing the Syrian people, feel. So there you go. They're smart people over there. They're no dummies. They see exactly what's happening.
And so what kind of government, if Assad goes...
Secular government.
It'll be a secular government. Why will this situation be different than, the vacuums that were filled in Libya and Egypt, for instance?
It's entirely different. They're not even comparable. Egypt had to do what it had to do, and I'm very proud of the Syrian or the Egyptian military being able to offset the moves of the Muslim Brotherhood, who are trying to establish Islamic states, radical Islamic states throughout the Middle East. And so that's why General Sisi in Egypt had to stand up. Now what's happened is the Muslim Brotherhood are refocusing in Syria, hoping to be able to use that as the next jump-off point for radical Islam control of a country. And the Free Syrians will, in fact, take out the radicals. They don't want them there. They want freedom. They want an open market. They have civilians, professors, engineers ready to go in and to fill the very important jobs in a new government. That's where their focus is.
And the secular
we ought to support.
And the secular government will honor treaties with Israel and will establish relations with the U.S. and will be a friendlier government. Will no longer be a satellite. Will no longer be a satellite of Iran.
That's exactly right. And the three generals that I talked to, very high level, who defect from the Assad government, will in fact negotiate the return of, and they want the negotiated on the Golan Heights, and they're willing to work with Israel. They admire the American people. They see the American government is very ineffective, very weak, and they know Assad, the Russians, and Iran will continue to roll over the region and control and dominate if nothing is done. So it'll get worse if we do nothing.
And tell me, while you believe, finally, General, I think the poll shows 9% of Americans believe we should get involved in Syria. Tell me why you believe that the United States has a role to play and should involve itself militarily in Syria.
Well, first of all, you have two of our enemies over there, Russia and Iran, who are doing everything to weaken the United States, and our government is really helping them out. We don't have any respect anymore. But again, from a humanitarian standpoint, even the United Nations resolutions of having governments kill their own people is in violation of international laws. So from that aspect, do you do nothing? Do you let him continue? I say not. And again, we can do it just by support of the proxies over there, and the proxy being the Free Syrian Army. They control 2/3 of the geography now. Assad's army and government controls Latakia province, the province of Tartus, where the Russian ships are, and about half of Damascus. I went 250 kilometers inside Syria. The Free Syrian Army has all the checkpoints. You don't see any of Assad's army out anywhere. No police. So the idea that Assad has lost almost all of the country now, and basically he's held up, of course, in his palace area with his what we call the Palace Guard, and it's about a brigade-sized unit, but they're very capable.
Right, but not if he's not there anymore. Then he's
That's
not.
right.
Yeah, then he's not held up. General, as always, your fascinating insight comes from firsthand experience and knowledge, and I give you all the credit in the world for traveling to that region and pursuing the facts on the ground as only you have done. And it's always a pleasure and an honor to speak with you, sir.
Thank you, Steve. I'd say everybody can go to the StandUpAmericaUS.org website, and they'll see the pictures in our report on that was posted today.
Stand Up America US website and .org. StandUpAmericaUS.org. And we should all check that out. Thank you, General.
All right, Steve.
Take care. General Paul E. Vallely, U.S. Army retired, chairman of Stand Up America. It's amazing. And if, again, I think the headline out of this is that he has been told by people he trusts, according to his sources. Of course, I cannot independently confirm it because I don't have any sources on the ground in Syria or Turkey. But he says that President Assad has left Syria with his family and has gone to Tehran, which would be the logical place for him to go if, in fact, he was going to look for an escape. When we come back, I want you to hear something. Having said all this, I want you to hear something that Joe Biden said back in 2007. Senator Joe Biden, when it was President George W. Bush. And President George W. Bush, the hated, despised, dumbest president in the world, George W. Bush, was there was talk he might do something to Iran. Well, what was it that Joe Biden and other Democrats were saying then about consulting Congress before any military action was taken? You might be surprised, but we got it for you right here when we return on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-9821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920.
This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect, with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts. And some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
We're in the midst of an obesity epidemic, and I'm not surprised. The statistics on obesity mirror an increasing trend of eating out or ordering in. In fact, some people dine out every night, but eating in restaurants is one of the biggest enemies of your heart. When you're in a restaurant, you don't really know what you're getting, and the calorie counts of many restaurant dishes are astronomical. In fact, some single dishes contain more calories than we should eat in an entire day. Eating in fast food restaurants is even worse. A diet of hamburgers, French fries, and shakes constitutes a fast lane to the emergency room. If you really want to help your heart, get in the habit of cooking simple meals at home. Here are 3 easy tips that will make your food taste better than even the best restaurant. Choose the best fruit in season. Your local farmer's market is a great place to start. It will probably still cost less than that pie you were thinking of buying. Get in the habit of using fresh herbs. You can use them in egg white omelets or dust them on the fish you grill or bake. And for a light dessert, choose a square or 2 of dark chocolate that you and your spouse can enjoy. There are lots of ways to make your heart healthy, but there are also lots of ways to damage it. That's why I wrote Fix It, Dr. Crandall's 90-day program. In it, I'll tell you how to kickstart your metabolism every day, how to pick the best diet for you, how to stop hunger from sabotaging your diet, the 7 superfoods for your heart. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
This is very, very true. Here is Steve Malzberg, and welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, 855-777-9660. Okay, let me take you back. I almost said let me take you down because we're going to Strawberry Fields, but we're not. So let me take you back to 2007, okay? Joe Biden. And here he is, Senator Biden, asked a question about, I think Chris Matthews is hosting the show, asking about possible military action against Iran by President George Bush and the United States military. Sounds a little familiar because now we're thinking about military action by the Obama-Biden administration. And while Obama-Biden isn't going to get congressional approval, they're not even getting UN approval. Listen to what Senator Joe Biden had to say back in 2007, cut number 29.
If the President of the United States had launched an attack on Iran without congressional approval, that would have been an impeachable offense. Do you want to review that comment you made? Well, how do you stand on that now?
Yes, I do. I want to stand by that comment I made. The reason I made the comment was as a warning. The reason I don't say those things lightly, Chris. You've known me for a long time. I was chairman of the Judiciary Committee for 17 years, or its ranking member. I teach separation of powers and constitutional law. This is something I know. So I got together and brought a group of constitutional scholars together to write a piece that I'm going to deliver to the whole United States Senate, pointing out the president has no constitutional authority to take this nation to war against a country of 70 million people unless we're attacked or unless there is proof that we are about to be attacked. And if he does, I would move to impeach him. The House obviously has to do that, but I would lead an effort to impeach him.
Wow. Now, Senator, that's what. So let me get this straight. The president has no constitutional authority to take our nation to war unless we've been attacked or there's proof we're about to be attacked. That applied to President Bush when it came to Iran. But lo and behold, it doesn't apply to Barack Obama and Vice President Joe Biden when it's Syria and Obama. Let me figure out what the difference might be. Democrat president, and of course Biden is in the administration, calling for impeachment. I've been told, we played you the soundbite yesterday, Senator Coburn, I think Tom Coburn was talking about possibly impeaching President Obama, and that was called, according to some, that's racist. Racist motivation for that. Well, I guess Joe Biden, unless he hates white people, wasn't being racist when he was when he was threatening to call for the impeachment and lead the charge for impeachment against George Bush if he dared to bomb Iran without congressional authority. But here we have, it's acknowledged. As a matter of fact, yesterday, Biden gave the keynote speech for bombing Syria and telling the world it was going to happen and it needs to happen and it should happen. I don't recall Obama going to the Congress, and I don't recall Syria attacking us or threatening to attack us. So I scratch my head. I wouldn't do it on TV because I'll mess my hair, but my finger's up there and it's moving if you're listening on radio. Gee whiz, let's go to cut 30.
Were threatening, what they were saying, what was adding up to be, what looked like to the rest of the world what we're about to do would be the most disastrous thing that could be done at this moment in our history that I can think of.
You know, Senator, the great thing about you being elected to the Senate when you were about 29 years old is that you were a senator back when there were real senators there like Wayne Morse and J. William Fulbright, who understood the constitutional importance of what you just said. I wonder whether a lot of people watching this show don't even get what you're talking about. They don't even remember when there were senators that understood the checks and balances of our government, of our Constitution. I am so impressed you said it. Thank you very much, Senator Joe Biden, candidate for president.
Yeah, candidate for president. He went on then, of course, to call Barack Obama the most articulate, clean black ever to run for the presidency. He went on to say that education in Washington, D.C. is worse than in Iowa because look how many minorities you have in Washington, D.C. compared to Iowa. And, of course, he went on to talk about you got to speak Pakistani or Indian if you go into a 7-Eleven. So, yeah, he made wonderful racial remarks after that. But, hey, folks, gee, I'm still moving my finger near my head, not to mess my hair, for Newsmax TV. I'm still scratching my head there because what could it be? What could it be? What has suddenly given Barack Obama the constitutional authority in the mind of Joe Biden that George Bush didn't have? What is the difference? What can be the difference? What was the epiphany that Joe Biden underwent? And what about Chris Matthews, the man who was licking the boots of Joe Biden? He got to thrill up his leg from Biden because Biden got it. He got the separation of powers. Is Matthews screaming and yelling that Obama better not bomb Syria or they should impeach him? I haven't heard that. Hypocrisy 101, hypocrisy 102. Steve Malzberg with you on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hey guys, do you know your testosterone level? You should. Each year, declining testosterone robs more of your energy, drive, motivation, and even your ability to perform in bed. Take control of your testosterone today. Write this number down because Progene, the leader in dual-action testosterone supplements, is now giving you a free supply if you call today at 800-592-4834. If you'd like to feel closer to 20 than 40 and get back that energy, drive, and confidence, call now to try Progene risk-free. Don't believe us? We'll even prove it works. Ask about our at-home testosterone test kits and see for yourself what Progene can do for you. Be one of the next 100 callers. We'll triple your order and send you a full 1-month supply of Progene for free. A $70 value for only the cost of shipping and handling. Call 800-592-4834 for details. Know your level and kick your drive back into gear with Progene. Call 800-592-4834. That's 800-592-4834. Again, 800-592-4834.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited-time radio offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. As the world waits for the U.S. to respond to a chemical weapons attack in Syria, there are new warnings from Russia, one of the Assad regime's closest allies. Russian officials say Western military action would be illegal and could lead to catastrophic consequences. Government officials in Moscow also called the cancellation of a meeting between the U.S. and Russia on Syria a, quote, serious disappointment, adding that the cancellation is more evidence that the U.S. plans a strike on Syria. Meanwhile, the White House says the president has not decided on a specific response to the chemical weapons attack on civilians by the Syrian government. But spokesman Jay Carney says the president is not looking to force President Bashar al-Assad from power. And during a speech Tuesday at the American Legion Convention, Vice President Joe Biden pulled no punches when discussing the Syrian regime.
The president believes, and I believe, that those who use chemical weapons against defenseless men, women, and children should and must be held accountable.
Well, President Obama has ordered a declassified report to make the case to the American people for a strike. The president has already ruled out putting any U.S. troops on the ground in Syria. And 50 years ago today, Martin Luther King Jr. stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and delivered a speech some call the greatest in American history.
My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
As many as 20,000 people are expected to fill the National Mall to hear tributes to Dr. King today. President Obama was the keynote speaker at today's event. Other speakers included Presidents Clinton and Carter, Congressman John Lewis, a leader in the civil rights movement, and members of the King family. And closing arguments begin today in the trial of Army psychiatrist Major Nidal Hassan. He is accused of killing 13 people in a 2009 shooting rampage at Fort Hood, Texas. Hassan, who is representing himself, rested his case Tuesday without calling any witnesses or testifying. He could face the death penalty. And singer Linda Ronstadt is lending some star power to a new lawsuit aimed at challenging Arizona's controversial immigration law. At a news conference in Phoenix, Ronstadt said racial profiling is included in the new law, which requires local and state law enforcement to ask people about their immigration status if there is any reason to suspect they're here in this country illegally. And next up on your Newsmax Now update, that record wildfire near Yosemite National Park is getting worse. See the latest efforts by firefighters to get it under control. Plus a Newsmax exclusive with James Zogby on the warnings from Syria and others if the U.S. strikes.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com. In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com. Aftershock911.com. If you're a baby boomer or senior, please listen closely to this important message. Politicians in Washington are quietly plotting to decrease your Social Security payments drastically, and they want to do it soon. In fact, despite rising prices at the gas pump, grocery store, and doctor's office, retirees have received a mere 1.3% annual increase to their Social Security checks. Meanwhile, food stamp recipients have seen their payouts increase over 30% under the Obama administration. That's shocking. So when we stumbled upon a weird trick that could add up to $1,000 to your monthly Social Security checks, we knew we had to share it with you. To get started, simply go to SocialSecurityFree.com. Yes, it's true. You can take simple steps that could add up to $1,000 to your monthly Social Security payouts. Newsmax says SocialSecurityFree.com is a critical resource for anyone over 50. Go to SocialSecurityFree.com.
And welcome back. That fire burning near Yosemite National Park has now destroyed more than 100 buildings and homes. The huge blaze has doubled in size and has already blackened more than 280 square miles of woodland. Firefighters are now hoping that higher humidity in the area will help them gain an upper hand. And what will be the result of a Western strike on Syria if it happens? We've heard warnings from the Assad regime as well as Russian and other terror groups. And during a Newsmax exclusive with James Zogby, the founder and president of the Arab American Institute, well, Zogby told us what exactly might happen.
Will there be some strike somewhere, someplace against somebody? Very probably yes, but I doubt seriously it will involve Israel, and certainly would not attack the American homeland.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for August 28th. I'm John Bachman. Take care.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome. Hour number 2 of the Steve Malzberg Show. And we have a lot to cover, and we will cover it coming up in just a little while. God forbid you have cancer or get cancer or know someone who has cancer, why they will be amongst those hardest hit under Obamacare, according to Dr. Scott Gottlieb. He will join us to talk about that. Then Malzberg's Media Madness. We have a slew of topics open for discussion. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour. Love to hear from you on this day where Major Nidal Hassan is sentenced to death for his Fort Hood massacre, his Fort Hood act of jihad, and of course the 50th anniversary of the Martin Luther King Jr. speech. And we will talk more about that later on. But you're free to weigh in on any of those. 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660. All right. Governor Chris Christie, you may have heard of him. He's come under fire. Christie appeared at a North Wildwood, New Jersey boardwalk, and he had to defend the state's stronger than the storm. You know, you've heard the New Jersey ads, especially if you're listening on our affiliate WCTC, or if you're in the New York area, but I think they've almost run nationally. New Jersey is stronger than the storm. They got a whole song, and Christie, and he's seen hugging people, and he's on the boardwalk. So Christie shows up here in North Wildwood, and his opponent, yes, he actually has an opponent. He's running for re-election for governor in November, and his Democratic opponent, Barbara Buono, who's a New Jersey state senator, Democrat, of course, is blasting him. She's running ads showing victims of Hurricane Sandy that are still not settled, that have still not been helped, that are still not whole. And so a reporter asked Chris Christie about critics of Stronger Than the Storm tourism ads. And Christie said, well, what would they have us do, go into the fetal position? I've never said everything is all right. Well, when the reporter persisted, noting that the email announcing yesterday's event with Christie, the email said, it was titled, quote, "'Cause down the shore everything's all right," which is obviously a reference to a Bruce Springsteen lyric. See, Chris Christie's obsessed with Bruce Springsteen. I'll get to that in a second. So, down the shore everything's all right, which is a line from Jersey Girl. So Christie says, do you really think what we meant was everything is all right everywhere, he asked. We don't think everything's all right. That's a lot better than it was in November and a lot better than people thought it would be. I don't think things down here are all right, Christie said. They're better, but they're not perfect. So he didn't like the reporter. You know, they got into it a little bit. But this isn't new for Chris Christie. This is, 10 months after the storm? And he's putting out an email touting his visit to North Wildwood as down the shore, everything's all right. But 3 weeks. Count them. Look at my fingers if you're watching at Newsmax TV. 1, 2, 3, 3 weeks. Hear my fingers if you're listening on the radio. Here, listen. 3 weeks after the storm, he went on Saturday Night Live. He went on Saturday Night Live with Seth Meyers to do an update, to be a guest on the update segment, and made fun of everything. People died in New Jersey in Hurricane Sandy. People's lives were destroyed. And this guy does this. Here's cut 31.
So, tell us, how is cleanup going?
Well, so far so good, Seth, but this isn't a job that's going to be done in a couple of days. Fortunately, New Jerseyans are known for their patience.
They are?
Yes, they are.
Oh.
How many times do I have to say it to you?
You only said it once.
Once should be enough. Get the wax out of your ears.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize, just do it.
All right. I feel like we're getting off on the wrong foot.
Not at all, Seth. I mean, trust me, this is a totally normal foot for me to get off on with people. I mean, I was worried I was going to come out here and get angry with you, but this is nice.
Well, good. I also think this is nice.
Oh, my God. What is this, a first date?
All right. I'm sorry.
All right. So he's making fun of New Jersey. He's making fun of himself. First of all, he has no place on Saturday Night Live 3 weeks after Hurricane Sandy. Absolutely no place. And here's cut 32.
I'd also like to not thank the following. I do not thank any of the stupid mayors who ignored my evacuation orders. You're idiots. And when you ignore me, it makes you look like a real Seth Meyers.
Oh, come on.
I'm talking here.
All right.
I also do not want to thank the reporters that put themselves in danger, by walking into the middle of the hurricane with their cameras. We don't need you to tell us there's a hurricane. We have windows. And finally, I do not want to thank the people who are getting in screaming matches at gas stations over the long lines. And look, I get it. Screaming at people at gas stations is a New Jersey tradition. But you don't do it during a crisis. There'll be plenty of time for yelling when this is all over.
All right. I played this at the time on a show I was doing at the time, and I was offended. I thought it was sick. I thought it was twisted. I saw this egomaniac sitting there talking about, here you had people really scared that they couldn't fill up their tanks, really scared that they couldn't fill up their generator, power their generators or whatever. They needed gasoline for this, gasoline for that. Then he put rationing into play, which was, I thought, a good idea. And then he makes a joke out of people yelling at each other at gas stations. But here's the worst. Here's possibly, out of all the things this man has done that has disappointed me as governor in the state of New Jersey, all the things he said about terrorism and Muslim terrorists and all the things he said socially and all the things. This is probably the worst thing he's done. Keep in mind, people in New Jersey died from Hurricane Sandy. So this clown goes on Saturday Night Live 3 weeks after and then does this, cut 33.
Everything dies, baby. That's a fact. But everything that dies one day comes back. Put your makeup on. Fix your hair up pretty. And meet me tonight in Atlantic City.
If I'm not mistaken, that's Bruce Springsteen?
That's right, Seth.
I don't know if I'd call him a poet.
You're right. He's more of a saint.
You're right.
All right. So I don't know why the beginning of that never made it, but what he said was, could I quote a famous New Jersey poet? And then he goes on to quote Bruce Springsteen from a song, Meet Me Tonight in Atlantic City. Everything dies, baby. That's a fact. But everything that dies one day comes back. When people died in the storm, do you have to be brain dead to do that? Or do you have to be so full of yourself that you don't even realize what you're doing? What's the purpose of that? To show New Jersey was resilient 3 weeks after a storm that devastated a state where people 10 months later are still devastated in parts? He had to go on Saturday Night Live and sit there and quote Bruce Springsteen like he quoted in the email yesterday? Enough with this obsession of Bruce Springsteen. It could be cute. It could be funny. Once. Like mentioning how much you like him. Once. But enough. And what he did 10 months ago or so on Saturday Night Live, quoting Bruce Springsteen's song. By the way, Atlantic City was devastated by Sandy. So he takes Meet Me Tonight in Atlantic City. But when I heard him say that line, everything dies, baby, that's a fact, but everything that dies one day comes back, tell it to the people's relatives who died. I don't know what this man thinks. But he will never be president of the United States of America, not if he's running as a Republican. All right, folks, we're coming back, and we're going to take a look at Obamacare, which, the countdown continues. We're a little over a month away. Implementation of most of the parts. We'll talk about cancer patients and how they're going to suffer disproportionately right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Guys, you've heard about Ageless Male, the natural supplement that helps boost testosterone levels within normal, healthy ranges. But now, the best testosterone product is even better. New and improved Ageless Male can help you feel more like you used to in your active life and in your romantic life. Because our upgraded formula has been clinically shown to increase your drive, desire, and performance. That's right, guys. Ageless Male has been clinically shown to boost performance. Cancel your plans this weekend. You're staying in. If you're ready to recapture the drive from your youth, now is the time to try Ageless Male because it's available risk-free. But you must call now. Just call 1-800-460-9790. Be the guy you used to be. Just call 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54, with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some, once a Democrat, then a Republican, a champion of smaller government whose own government grew, a fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax Magazine every month.
breaking news and breaking hearts. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, see, you didn't know that about me. All right, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, the adverse effects of Obamacare, we've talked about them. We couldn't have possibly covered all of the adverse effects. Some of the adverse effects we don't even know about yet. You know, you got to pass the bill to find out what's in it. Well, we found out much of what's in it. Some people have done yeoman's work in talking about this, and we welcome in our next guest who are among that list of people. Dr. Scott Gottlieb, American Enterprise Institute, practicing physician and former senior public health official, joins us. Hello, doctor. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. And I was really taken by a piece, that appeared a couple of days ago, or maybe it was last week, about the effects of Obamacare on people who have cancer. And, there's all kinds of effects. I mean, I think back, my mom, she just celebrated her 86th birthday. She got leukemia out of nowhere, like most people get cancer, I guess, 2 years ago with no family history. No one in our family, immediate family, had ever had cancer. Anyway, long story short, she underwent treatment. Thank God she's fine. I don't think she would have been allowed to have that treatment. But that aside, under Obamacare, but that aside, you bring up many other points that speak to why people with cancer are going to be hard hit under Obamacare.
Right. It's anyone with a rare condition or a condition that requires specialized help, but that includes many cancer patients. And so I think this is going to hit cancer patients particularly hard. And the issue is that the president talks about the insurance market reforms where they're going to cap out-of-pocket expenses and things like copays and how much of the cost of care patients are responsible for as a result of Obamacare. But that only applies if you stay within the network decreed by your plan. And what we know about the Obamacare plans, everyone now acknowledges, is that they're going to be what we call very narrow network plans, which means you're going to have a very limited menu of options of physicians to choose from. And so if you go outside that network, outside the menu that's prescribed by your Obamacare plan, there is no limit on the out-of-pocket cost, no limit on the cost sharing, the copays. You could literally be stuck with the entire bill, and there'll probably be some plans that do that charge patients almost the full cost if they go outside their network. And so what's going to happen if you, God forbid, get cancer and you want to go to Memorial Sloan Kettering or the Hutch or MD Anderson, or you want to get a second opinion from a specialized physician or get treated at one of those institutions, if those institutions aren't in your plan, and they're very unlikely to be in your plan because those are high-cost institutions that most of the plans are going to avoid, you're not going to be able to go to those institutions unless you're willing to pay the full cost out of pocket or something pretty close to the full cost. It's really going to limit the options that patients with rare conditions that require specialized care have to choose from. There's other provisions in the bill as well that hit cancer patients.
Yeah, and I want to talk about those, but let's talk a little bit about what kind of money we're talking about here. I mean, if people had to pay out of pocket.
Well, it could, if you look at a course of treatment for a patient with a blood tumor, if you are using some of the more expensive, the newer drugs, you're requiring some radiation oncology, you could be literally talking about $100,000 or maybe more for a full course of treatment to try to achieve a complete or partial response to the cancer. If you go outside your network to get that care, if you want to go to one of these specialized institutions or an institution or a doctor who happens to be outside your network, there's no limit on what the plan can charge you. The only place where there's a limit in Obamacare on the out-of-pocket spending that you can be hit with if you go outside your network is in the emergency room. So if you find yourself in an emergency room of a hospital that's not in your network, there they place limits on how much you can get hit with. But most people are used to insurance plans right now, the old, preferred provider organizations or even HMOs, where if you go outside your network,
right, you get 60% or something, right?
Right. It costs you more, but you're not saddled with the whole bill. What we're going to see in the Obamacare plans is patients are going to be saddled with a much, much higher percentage of the cost, and in some cases it could be the full cost.
Well, this is an outrage, and of course this flies in the face of everything we've been told. Talk about some of the other problems with this if you're a cancer patient or have another rare, as you put it, rare disease.
Well, what they're rolling out is protocols to try to sort of dictate what kinds of treatments patients should get for certain more common kinds of cancers. We're going to see these become much more common in these Obamacare plans, where there's prescribed menus of options and clear protocols on how patients should be treated for some of the more common cancers, where there are admittedly some accepted approaches, but in some cases certain patients want to deviate from those approaches for specific reasons, and it might be because they're choosing a drug based on a side effect profile rather than, just which drug might be the most efficacious. Those opportunities are going to be limited. We're also going to start seeing the administration try to what we call bundle the payment for certain kinds of cancers, where they give doctors or provider organizations a lump sum of money to take care of patients with certain conditions. So the patient who comes in with early stage breast cancer or early stage colon cancer, the provider is going to be given a lump sum of money to take care of that patient. That's going to give the providers a big incentive to try to economize on what technology they use in treating patients, because whatever money they spend in caring for the patient is coming out literally of their own pocket. This is really a throwback to the old HMO model. It's a form of capitation, but the administration is pursuing this hard as its primary cost containment tool in Obamacare.
This is, I swear, even people who think they favor this, they don't have, and we have a minute, but do you think people know? Do you think we're ready in this country? Forget the train wreck of administrative train wreck and privacy concerns and all. I'm talking about people who are sick and need help, getting the help they need. Do you think the people in this country even have a clue of what lies ahead?
Well, what people certainly don't realize is how restrictive the Obamacare plans are going to be. Everyone in Washington knows this now, that these are going to be very narrow network plans. You're going to have a very limited choice of providers to choose from. I don't think the average consumer realizes that yet. They're not going to realize it until they start seeing these plans and people start enrolling and realize how limited their options are.
Yeah, it's very, very frightening. And, of course, the goal is, I believe, to have everybody enrolled in those plans and knock the other insurance companies out of business. Dr. Scott Gottlieb, American Enterprise Institute medical expert, thank you so much, sir. We'll speak to you again.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. Well, there you go, folks. Just don't get sick. Yeah, that's what Obama would tell you. Don't get sick. Then you won't need Obamacare. Oh, thank you, Dr. Obama. Thank you very much. Because that's what it's going to come down to, folks. That's what it's going to come down to. God help you if you get sick in the United States of America under Obamacare. All right, folks, we're coming back. Malzberg's Media Madness with Noel Shepard of Newsbusters on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The silver polar bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
I didn't do this to do any hating on anyone. I did it to be funny. I did it to be a joke. This clown bit has been around for generations. And I didn't think anything more of it than what we've done 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, when we've done it with Bush and Clinton and Ronald Reagan.
Folks, welcome back. Steve Malzberg, and that is Tuffy Gessling. And you're like, who the heck is Tuffy Gessling? You know him as the rodeo clown who wore the Obama mask and got fired, and the storm erupted. The NAACP in his home state of Missouri wanted the Justice Department and the Secret Service to investigate. Joining us now to talk about this is our friend who joins us every week on Malzberg's Media Madness, the associate editor of newsbusters.org, Noel Shepard. Hey, Noel.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well.
All right. Well, great. You wrote about this, and you asked the question, will the media report on this? This was an interview he did with KCTV in Kansas City, saying there was no racism. I would do this no matter what color the president was. I don't care what color a person is. I played it yesterday, actually, I think it was, or the day before, whenever this interview came out. But I haven't seen much media response to this. They just, want to leave everybody with the impression that this guy was some kind of racist because Obama's black.
Yeah, and I think as we discussed at the time, if they had done any research, they would have found that this is rather common. This is what happens at rodeos. And we've got a rodeo where I live. There's a rodeo about, maybe 15 miles away from here, maybe 20. And we go to it every summer. And there's always the clowns, the rodeo clowns, they wear masks, and they're very often president's masks. And it's part of the routine. Nothing shocking about it whatsoever. But you're not allowed. There's, I don't know whether you saw this. Actually, you've been on the air. Chuck Todd just talked about Obama's speech as being post-racial. That's really what he said. Obama's speech was post-racial. And as I just wrote moments ago, this president is anything but post-racial.
Oh my
he
gosh.
talks about post-racial, but everything that this man has done since the Skip Gates affair with the Cambridge Police Department, all the way through to Trayvon Martin, has been to divide our nation along racial lines. This is how Democrats get elected, and Obama has been spectacular at it. And we've got prominent members of the black community who are coming out and admitting that we're a more racist society, or at least there's more racial tensions now than before he was elected. Well, what's the connection
Well,
here?
don't forget, Noel. Yeah, that by the way, you pointed out that this had been done previously at rodeos. You dug up the George H.W. Bush mask, but don't forget the White House did weigh in on this. Instead of saying, "Why are you asking me about a rodeo?" or "What are you, ridiculous? What are you, crazy?" He said, "Well," the White House spokesman said, "Well, it wasn't one of our better days as a nation," which just shows how crazy it is.
Well, I think what's interesting here is this Gessling, this toughie Gessling, comes out and says, I'd love for some of our political leaders to come to a rodeo and see what happens. And if Obama showed up, I'd proudly shake his hand. What Obama could have done in this situation was say, you know what? I've never been to a rodeo. Maybe this is what happens. Let me go see. And now you're actually uniting the country, right?
Right.
Now you're bringing the entire country into the fold rather than basically regularly saying that roughly half of the country, those that don't vote for you conveniently, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, they're all racist. This would have been a fabulous opportunity for him to truly be post-racial and say, you know what, before I make a comment here, because I've never been to a rodeo and I don't know anything about them, I'd like to go to a couple and see what happens. Wow. That would have been a uniting moment for the nation.
I couldn't agree with you more. All right, so let's move on from that to keeping with the race theme here. Unfortunately, I mean, I could pull out. We could talk for the next 3 hours about how the media has gone crazy, especially in the last week with race leading up to this speech today. But let's talk about there was a guest host, I guess, on the Al Sharpton radio show. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
this is actually, he wasn't the guest host, but he was a guest.
Yeah, but there was a guest host anyway, I think. It wasn't Sharpton, unless I'm mistaken. Someone was sitting in for him, unless I'm mistaken. But nonetheless, this was Earl Ofari Hutchinson, who, as you said in your Newsbusters piece, he's one of the biggest race baiters in the nation. And he was on Sharpton's radio show. And here's some of what he had to say. This is cut number 34.
You know, when I hear these white people call in talking about what they're sick and tired of, I'm black and I'm sick of all these racist congressmen, the Limbaughs, the Hannitys, Becks, and Palin, who are racist to the core. You don't hear them calling talking about that. Everything the president tries to do as far as jobs and everything else, they're blocking it. The same people that went along with all this garbage with Bush Cheney, they're now talking about the president is not doing when everything he tries to do, they block it. And thank you, Mr. Egglershaw, for taking my call.
I really appreciate that. Earl, your thoughts about what Eunice had to say.
All right, so that was a caller, and here's what here's how Earl Ofari Hutchinson reacts. Cut 35.
Well, and I'm glad she brought that up. That's true. And, Andre, we've had innumerable discussions about how the right side, the GOP, they've done everything under the sun to make this man, this president, and this presidency a failed presidency. And, once again, circling back on something, these right-wing gabbers, the Hannitys, the Limbaughs, and the rest
It should have been rated, softcore porn. But I don't know that maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm not a psychologist, but an eating disorder. I know there's other eating disorders except bulimia, but I don't know where she gets that from. Looking at her, she looks perfectly healthy on the outside. And number two, I don't get the confidence problem. It seems to me, and maybe she's overcompensating, but it seems to me as a layman looking at her, she's got all the self-confidence in the world.
Yeah, I think that Mika probably went a little bit too far. Look, there's been a tremendous reaction to this, and I mean, there was such a reaction to this. I was very shocked by this. My 25-year-old son called me from Tulsa, Oklahoma, to get my sense as to what occurred, and he was really offended by it. So that's a peculiar thing for your kid to call you up to get your opinion.
Right.
I'm flattered by that. But I think that for whatever reason, look, Miley Cyrus has represented much more than Britney Spears ever did a very, very wholesome Disney, let's call it a caricature, but persona, okay? And she's impacted a lot of lives. I mean, she hasn't impacted your life or my life because we're not kids. My daughter was a huge fan of Hannah Montana's. So I think that part of the issue here is there's almost this sense that she's let people down with these antics, that she's moved so far to, for lack of a better term, the dark side, that people aren't just disgusted by it, they're hurt by it, they're offended. I mean, if you grew up with Hannah Montana and you were a young girl or even a young boy, and now all of a sudden she's on stage, I mean, and you looked at the picture of Will and Jada Smith's kids and the expression on their faces, that was terror from them. That wasn't just shock. And I'm looking at the picture right now. The boy looks horrified by what he's watching.
Yeah.
And it's because what you've got is you've got a pop idol and a tremendously wholesome Disney character turning towards this really kind of raunchy performance. And I think a lot of people were so bothered by it that almost to the point of irrationality. I mean, I saw Michael Medved, who I know you're familiar with.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, he was on CNN yesterday saying, why are we so shocked by this? This is the MTV Video Movie Awards, or Video Music Awards, and this is what, we don't seem to be as offended, and this was his point, we don't seem to be as offended when a 36-year-old married woman does this. But when a 20-year-old single woman does it, we're all getting apoplectic. And, coming from Michael, because I have tremendous amount of respect for him, he's conservative, but he's also, a movie critic.
Absolutely.
So he's been watching entertainers for a long time. He's got a pretty, from our side of the aisle, he's got a pretty good sense of this, you have to admit.
Absolutely. And he's probably got a good point.
I was very surprised. He was like, what's everybody getting so upset about? This is a 20-year-old girl. She's not 14. She said, so he's kind of changed. I mean, I was shocked by it.
Yeah. I was too. And again, and back to Mika a little bit, she, saying that she's disturbed and they never should have allowed her to go on the stage like she's some mental patient and they're exploiting her. I mean, I don't buy that either. But
the whole tongue thing,
the tongue thing,
I mean, if you've been around crazy people, and I'm not just talking liberals, if you've been around crazy people, they do stick their tongue out a lot. I mean, what she was doing with her tongue, and my son mentioned the same thing. What was up with that?
Well, that was, I think that was pretty, an attempt of some sort of sexual, something sexual in nature. I don't think that was an accident or a crazy thing.
I don't know. When you were in your dating years, did you want a woman sticking her tongue out that far at you? I don't know. But we're not that young anymore, so what do we know about dating?
Which means I don't have to answer that question in any way, shape, or form. Well, if we're not talking about lesbians with you, you're talking about how far I wanted my old girlfriends to stick out their tongue. We're talking to Noel Shepard, Associate Editor of Newsbusters.org here on the Steve Malzberg Show. One more, and actually two more. MSNBC, the aforementioned network here that we're talking about with Mika, has lost close to 50% of its viewers in a huge news year.
Yeah, and it's actually not MSNBC, it's some of their shows. I mean, the Rachel Maddow show is close to that, and All In with Chris Hayes, he's about 50% down from what Ed Schultz was doing in the same time slot a year ago, and Lawrence O'Donnell is also down about 50%. The slide continues, and at this point, you really have to call it rather epic. The numbers for MSNBC looking atrocious, and I really wonder, and we've been talking about this for months now. It's been collapsing for most of the year. Is it a function of the public has just finally realized that this really is the White House channel, that this isn't news, that this is exclusively propaganda? And the percentage of the population that's recognizing it as propaganda is saying, I have a limited amount of time to watch news. I have a limited amount of time to catch up during the day to find out what happened while I was at work, or taking care of my kids or feeding my kids or whatnot. I really want more than just the Democrat talking points and the White House talking points about what happened today. I really believe that that's the case. And I also believe that the lineup at this point, clearly Chris Hayes is not resonating with people. This was a big mistake. He's too young, and nothing against youth. I wish I was as young as him. But although I would wear much nice looking glasses.
There's no appeal. We talked about this before. There's no personality. There's nothing to identify with. He's like a computer that spews out these left-wing facts, quote unquote, or numbers, and he's like a computer to me. He's not. There's no warmth.
There's no warmth. There's no real personality. I think that what Rachel Maddow has, as much as we disagree with her, she does actually have some warmth. I mean, there is, and you're going to find this peculiar, but there is a little bit of cuddliness at times about Rachel. There's nothing, and by the way, there was even at times something cuddly about Ed Schultz.
Now, you see, I could understand the cuddliness in Ed Schultz, but I do find it peculiar about the cuddliness in Rachel, which is my problem, not yours, Noel. Hey, one more, and that is that only now this is huge. I don't know if it speaks more to, and you wrote about this too when you quoted Peggy Noonan saying that people are going to stop listening to Obama, or they already have. Really, nobody cares what he has to say. But when CNN does a morning show and has the President of the United States on it exclusively, and that show gets 320,000 viewers, that's huge news.
I thought it was, and actually I was kind of surprised that the folks at Drudge didn't jump all over that, but they didn't.
That's all right. I had one yesterday that they didn't, but go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. We're back on the boycott list. But no, when you think about 323,000 people, and this is not going to be any offense to the folks on Fox and Friends, but more than 3 times as many people were watching the folks on Fox and Friends than were watching the President of the United States speak in a one-on-one interview. More people watched MSNBC's Morning Joe than watched the president.
Yeah.
This is really, to me, rather shocking. Although I will tell you, this came up at my athletic club.
Well, no, we're gonna have my fault. I got you involved in a news story, and I don't have. I'm up against a hard break, so I appreciate it. Great segment. We'll speak to you next week. Thank you, my friend.
By the way, wasn't Miley Cyrus up against a hard break? Anyway.
Oh, but and there's no wiener joke there either. On the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Meet Jim. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind: to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect, with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
Judging from everything you hear, you think all cholesterol is bad, but that's not really true. You need a certain amount of cholesterol to maintain good health. The problem is that too much cholesterol in your blood contributes to a plaque, a fatty substance that narrows the coronary arteries that feed blood flow to your heart. Picture your coronary arteries as a 4-lane highway. If one lane becomes blocked, traffic still flows well. 2 lanes, no major problem. But if a 3rd lane becomes blocked, that spells trouble. It's the same way with your coronary arteries. And when plaque slows their blood flow to your heart, this can even cause a heart attack. The good news is that when it comes to cholesterol, lifestyle changes can pay off big time. Even a small reduction in plaque can be like opening up another highway lane. Suddenly, blood flow that was stalled can go forward again. Changing your lifestyle does not have to be hard. And in fact, here are 3 ways to help you start lowering your cholesterol. Snack on nuts. Nuts are probably one of the easiest and tastiest ways to lower cholesterol. Walnuts and almonds are among the best. Bulk up your diet with fiber. Choose whole fruits instead of a fruit juice, brown rice instead of white, and if you're eating a baked potato, be sure to leave the skin on. Choose fish. Fish contains cholesterol-fighting omega-3 fatty acids. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Short segment because we went very long with our friend Noel Shepard. Great segment with Noel. Love having fun with Noel and pointing out the absurdities that are out there in the media every single day. And we love talking about that, of course. And that is mind-boggling, though, isn't it? CNN. what has happened? I know what's happened. I mean, I have opinions. You know, it's just that, and I'll tell you what has happened. There's no use for someone like me to give opinions on CNN. That's the problem. 300,000 people tune in to see the President of the United States in an exclusive interview on the morning show on CNN. Wow. What else can you say but wow? All right, and you can say wow as many times as you want right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio. Don't go away.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. As the world waits for the U.S. to respond to a chemical weapons attack in Syria, there are new warnings from Russia, one of the Assad regime's closest allies. Russian officials say Western military action would be illegal and could lead to catastrophic consequences. Government officials in Moscow also called the cancellation of a meeting between the U.S. and Russia on Syria a, quote, serious disappointment, adding that the cancellation is more evidence that the U.S. plans a strike on Syria. Meanwhile, the White House says the president has not decided on a specific response to the chemical weapons attack on civilians by the Syrian government. But spokesman Jay Carney says the president is not looking to force President Bashar al-Assad from power. And during a speech Tuesday at the American Legion Convention, Vice President Joe Biden pulled no punches when discussing the Syrian regime.
The president believes, and I believe, that those who use chemical weapons against defenseless men, women, and children should and must be held accountable.
Well, President Obama has ordered a declassified report to make the case to the American people for a strike. The president has already ruled out putting any U.S. troops on the ground in Syria. And 50 years ago today, Martin Luther King Jr. stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and delivered a speech some call the greatest in American history.
My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
As many as 20,000 people are expected to fill the National Mall to hear tributes to Dr. King today. President Obama was the keynote speaker at today's event. Other speakers included Presidents Clinton and Carter, Congressman John Lewis, a leader in the civil rights movement, and members of the King family. And closing arguments begin today in the trial of Army psychiatrist Major Nidal Hassan. He is accused of killing 13 people in a 2009 shooting rampage at Fort Hood, Texas. Hassan, who is representing himself, rested his case Tuesday without calling any witnesses or testifying. He could face the death penalty. And singer Linda Ronstadt is lending some star power to a new lawsuit aimed at challenging Arizona's controversial immigration law. At a news conference in Phoenix, Ronstadt said racial profiling is included in the new law, which requires local and state law enforcement to ask people about their immigration status if there is any reason to suspect they're here in this country illegally. And next up on your Newsmax Now update, that record wildfire near Yosemite National Park is getting worse. See the latest efforts by firefighters to get it under control. Plus a Newsmax exclusive with James Zogby on the warnings from Syria and others if the U.S. strikes.
What is LigNet? LigNet is knowledge. LigNet is power. LigNet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is LigNet? LigNet is confidential. LigNet is sensitive. LigNet is security. What is LigNet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
And welcome back. That fire burning near Yosemite National Park has now destroyed more than 100 buildings and homes. The huge blaze has doubled in size and has already blackened more than 280 square miles of woodland. Firefighters are now hoping that higher humidity in the area will help them gain an upper hand. And what will be the result of a Western strike on Syria if it happens? We've heard warnings from the Assad regime as well as Russian and other terror groups. And during a Newsmax exclusive with James Zogby, the founder and president of the Arab American Institute, well, Zogby told us what exactly might happen.
Will there be some strike somewhere, someplace against somebody? Very probably yes, but I doubt seriously it will involve Israel, and certainly would not attack the American homeland.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for August 28th. I'm John Bachman. Take care.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, hour number 3 of the Steve Malzberg Show, and we welcome in, as we do every week when possible here, our friend, Washington Times columnist Charles Hurd. Hello, Charles.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Couldn't be better. Couldn't be better.
Well, I know you of course not, because you recently watched part of an episode of Honey Boo Boo. So, of course, you couldn't be better. And we're going to get to that. That's what your column was about today. But I want to throw something at you that I just saw breaking on Drudge. The headline that the only black senator in the U.S. Senate, was not invited today to be a participant up there on the stage and be a dignitary at the Obama speech.
Isn't that a sad commentary on where we are today and how far, in some ways, we have not come since Martin Luther King Jr. gave that speech 50 years ago? And it's not for a lack of effort among a lot of good Americans all over the country who have worked so hard and in their personal, private lives worked so hard to make this place a better place and a better place for people who have been mistreated in the past. And yet the political class, the sort of the elites, the liberals who have now hijacked the movement, the civil rights movement, now use it for political means in order to punish anyone who would think differently, punish real diversity. And it's a real, to me, it's got to be the most troubling thing about politics in America today.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. And again, we're talking about South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, who was the only black serving in the U.S. Senate. He happens to be a Republican, and he just was not invited. And that just flies in the face of everything Obama talked about, and then almost flies in the face of everything everybody else talked about. I mean, I guess they should have put a little footnote or a little asterisk or a little made a note, a qualifier at the beginning and end of every speech saying this doesn't apply to anybody who's politically different than us, or this doesn't apply to anybody who happens to be a Republican. We only want these things for people who believe like we do,
who are in total agreement with us. It's a degree of thought police that I've never sort of, we've never really had a history of that in this country, but that is exactly what it is. And to sit there and listen to these rappers, Kanye West and some of these people talking about how those people have taken over the mantle of MLK. It's just shocking to me because what do they know about civil rights? What do they know about any of this? And yet they're sort of put upon by the elite liberal sort of mainstream sort of establishment as being sort of the Martin Luther Kings of today. Whereas of course the Martin Luther King Jr. is a great, wonderful symbol of peace and progress for all Americans, and to sort of try to splinter it up and actually I think it's all a power thing. The reason that they want to keep Martin Luther King as their hero and somebody that the rest of us are not allowed to be proud of is because they want to keep power. And it's the worst kind of segregation and race politics that you could have.
No, absolutely. Before we get to your column, let me throw one thing out at you because it's been bothering me all night and all day. And I got to tell you, I don't tend to be a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think you have to be a conspiracy theorist. And we heard Janet Napolitano, who I really have no use for. I don't think she did a good job, and we could go on and on and on. But she said something that was very similar to what Leon Panetta said when he left, and what we've been hearing from people in the security field and reading from people like Bill Gertz, and that there is a cyber attack coming, that it is going to be huge, and that it is going to change America, and that it is going to cost lives. And basically, what they're saying is, as I read, I translate the following translation from each and every one of these predictions, dire predictions, is that we're going to have no electricity. We're going to have a blackout that's going to last for months or years, and our society as we know it is going to be over. I mean, it seems to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, that that's what these people are trying to tell us, and nobody seems to want to talk about it or even care or even is listening. Am I nuts, or should I be concerned here?
I know. I'm with you, and I find this stuff absolutely terrifying. I find either these hackers that bombard this country every single day, and as well as the sort of the both natural and unnatural with something like an electromagnetic pulse.
Right.
That is not, if you look back through history, it's not an unheard of, it's not an unexpected sort of thing. It's sort of hard to say how we will, how damaging it'll be, and how Americans will be able to respond to it. But I am certain of one thing: that to whatever degree the government is not prepared to handle such a thing, I do think that Americans left to their own freedoms and their own abilities to, among other things, bear arms, they'll be a whole lot better off. We as a society will be a whole lot better off if we are prepared as individuals to do
Right. I mean, food. I mean, you couldn't go to, and I don't mean to sidetrack into this. I've just been dying to talk about it all day, and I figured you could talk about anything.
But people will think you're crazy if you stock away several months worth of food.
Well, that's it. Water, food, and a generator, and here's the thing. You have to understand if what they're and again, this is the defense secretary who was outgoing, the Homeland Security director who's outgoing. They all make a point to tell us, hey, you don't have any idea what's coming, but it's going to be devastating. So, I mean, no electricity means no gas. You can't drive your car. You can't get money out of the ATM. You can't get medicine. You can't have food deliveries. I mean, we're talking about like prehistoric. I mean, we're talking about nothing.
Yeah, and it's why I think that it's obviously the dangerous side of all of us becoming super reliant upon technology.
Absolutely.
And technology is a wonderful thing, and it's a great thing, but there's a real danger if you forget some of the more fundamental stuff, and that's why I think all these these movements we see about people growing their own food and making connections in society in their communities with farmers and people who know how to do this sort of thing. I think all that is very healthy, and when you have the federal government coming in, I can speak from experience. I gladly every week break the law and get fresh milk that has not been pasteurized. And I have it delivered. And the farmer that I had providing that to me 2 years ago he was an Amish guy, and the federal agents, armed federal agents in SWAT gear, at pre-dawn raided his farm and put his family at gunpoint.
Why?
Because it's illegal.
Oh.
You're not allowed to sell unpasteurized milk, and because if you are, you're somehow subverting the government or something. And my goodness, no. First of all, I like unpasteurized milk. I like fresh milk straight out of the cow. But beyond that, I also like having a connection with a farmer who knows how to do this sort of thing.
Yeah, sure.
Very important to me. But the federal government, I kid you not, USDA police raided the man's farm and put him out of business.
Wow. Now we're talking to Charles Hurd of the Washington Times here on the Steve Malzberg Show. All right, we'll have further discussions about this stuff, but
I'll always talk to you about that stuff.
No, and then it starts to make sense about you start hearing these people talk about camps that are being built and ammunition being bought up certainly, and preparing for this, preparing for that, and you start to think if there's chaos in the streets and all. I mean, it just unfortunately all seems to start making sense. So it's just it's frightening. But let's move on.
And also don't forget this. The sad thing about it is, or not the sad thing, but the fact of the matter is, the people who are going to fare the worst under those circumstances are the poorest, most vulnerable people today. And so when people like these Democrats try to demagogue on stuff, remember. The people who are going to lose out in that situation are going to be the poorest and most vulnerable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right. Now, speaking of, I don't know, the poorest and most vulnerable. Now, what made you do a piece on Here Comes Honey Boo Boo?
Have you ever watched this?
I've turned through it. I look at them sitting on the couch, like you allude to, kind of here in this piece, and I never really sat through an episode because I'm thinking, oh my God. What is this? And this poor little girl, I think she's being like exploited, but I don't even know. You tell me.
Well, Well, I'll tell you what it is. I was watching a baseball game. It was over quick, sooner than I expected, so I switched over and I found this. And I started watching it. And I've been hearing about it. I remember it was a big deal. The media made a huge deal when she endorsed President Obama in the 2008 election. And then you come to find out she's a beauty pageant queen who's completely exploited by her family. It's a family of illiterate rednecks who, as best I can tell, none of them work, and they all overeat and eat trashy, horrible food, and it's all a big joke. And it's a big joke about, and it is the establishment media laughing at America, saying this is who you are, and laughing at, and for me particularly, being from the South and from the rural South, it's a complete racism. It's complete that they are mocking. They're mocking the South. They're mocking rural people, and all of this just came at the time when we came to realize that this Duck Dynasty has become this blockbuster, the most popular cable show in the history of cable television, and it's the exact opposite. It's about a family that figured out something that was missing in the marketplace. They went out there, they started making it, they started making a lot of money, and they've built an empire. They're a good family. Every show ends with the family sitting around saying grace. It's also hilarious. They're very funny, but they're good old boys and gals, but they're all decent, self-made people, and that to me is what America is.
Right,
right. This carnival act, Honey Boo Boo, that the mainstream media gives us.
Yeah, and what's that other show that's out now too with these guys? It's like Sweeping the Nation, and it's supposedly like the #1 show on TV. What's it called? Not the pawn shop. No. There's something else. It's
the guns that I've seen that once or twice. It's interesting. What is the name of it?
I can't remember, but yeah, it's just great. But it's another kind of I don't know. I don't want to say what I think.
He's a small businessman. If it's the one that I think it is, he started a auto dealership and has made good money and done what most Americans do, or at least try to do, aspire to do, and it's what was once celebrated.
Right, now it's mocked. Now the whole thing is mocked. Absolutely.
Ridiculed.
Yeah. Hey, fascinating conversation. I'll just let you know that John Boehner has written a letter to the president demanding specific, or asking, I guess, for the courtesy of, and maybe not demanding, for a list of answers to specific questions like how will this help if we bomb Syria? How will it enhance our security? How will it stop him from using chemical weapons again? We want answers before you do this. So I don't think he'll get them, but he just so you know, he made that request. My friend, thank you very much. We'll talk next week.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, my pleasure. That's Charles Hurt, ladies and gentlemen, columnist for the Washington Times. Just Honey Boo Boo. No, I've never watched a complete episode of Honey Boo Boo. Have you watched Boo Boo? You? All right, we're coming back. Joining us at the bottom of the hour, we're going to have Andrew Young, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, former mayor of Atlanta, former congressman, talking about the 50th anniversary of the Martin Luther King speech today. And also later on, Robert Davi, my favorite actor, will be here live in studio, all straight ahead on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45 non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50 non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com, Aftershock2013.com.
Obamacare. President Obama's massive health care law is taking effect this year. With over 15,000 pages of regulations, few even know what it means. Now, the Obamacare Survival Guide by Nick Tate gives you the shocking facts about this law. It's a step-by-step guide on how you can protect yourself. Already the New York Times bestseller, every American needs to get the Obamacare Survival Guide and find out about the new taxes, hidden fees, fines, Medicare changes, business rules, and why doctor shortages are likely. Donald Trump says the Obamacare Survival Guide is a must-read for anyone worried about getting good health care for themselves or their employees. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's at bookstores, or get our special offer at Obamacare911.com and you'll save $15. Go now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com.
Sure, Steve might be a bit of a hypochondriac, but he never gets sick of breaking news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Call Steve at 1-855-777-9660. That's 1-855-777-9660. Here's Steve.
All right, folks, as we prep for Andrew Young, Ambassador Young, coming up on the other side, and Robert Davi on the other side, let me just finish out this half hour by telling you that the New York Post reports that Anthony Weiner, you might have heard of Anthony Weiner, he's having such a hard time, generating support for his limp campaign. I'm reading from the Post, that he's resorted to paying a rent-a-crowd firm to provide supporters for his events. Some of the gun-ho Weiner crowds, including at the August 11th Dominican Day Parade in Manhattan, were actors who were paid $15 an hour by the California firm Crowds on Demand. Hey, all you McDonald's workers, go get hired by Crowds on Demand. Then you make your $15 an hour. This according to a source with direct knowledge. The source said surrogates for Weiner approached the Santa Monica-based company days after Sidney Leathers came forward to say that Weiner had continued his digital dalliances after resigning from Congress. The campaign asked the company to have actors seem, quote, like either supporters or people who met him and became supporters as a result of that encounter, end quote. The people would initially be skeptical, then they ask him various questions, but would appear then to be convinced by his spiel, according to the source, who said the campaign used crowds on demand several times. Initially, Weiner's associates asked the company to try and confront hecklers, but the company, fearing liability if there was violence, refused. So Crowds on Demand, by the way, had no comment. Weiner's camp denied employing the company. Can you believe this stuff? Can you believe this stuff? Oh, my gosh. I mean, if it's true, rent a crowd. That's, you've heard about that in other instances. But getting people to come and make believe that they don't like you, and then you talk to them, and then you come away, hey, he's really a good guy. That's worth $15 an hour. Although in Weiner's case, it might take 30. You might want to hold out for 30. Ambassador Andrew Young, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen. He was at the March on Washington. We'll talk about it right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. LigNet's staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff. Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks.
Trayvon is a martyr. We've had a string of martyrs from the time of Emmett Till. Every generation has its martyrs, and they're going to continue. And we celebrate them, and we lift them up to know that they're not lost. But I can never forget that 3 weeks after this magnificent speech, 4 little girls were bombed in their Sunday school class, and then 2 kids who nobody ever knew about were slaughtered riding bicycles for nothing. That the world will never be perfect, but we can never accept this kind of suffering and injustice. And for me, Zimmerman is just as much a tragedy as Trayvon. His life is ruined over a love of guns and a false sense of what manhood is.
All right. Very interesting remarks made by Ambassador Young, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, former mayor of Atlanta, and former congressman, of course. And joining us now on the phone is the ambassador. Mr. Ambassador, great to talk to you again, sir. Thank you.
Very good.
Well, I know it's been a big day. You were there.
It was a wonderful day.
What was the highlight? Was it the president speaking, sir?
Well, no, it was the whole day. One, it was kind of misty, so it didn't get too hot. And it rained a little bit, but nobody got too wet. We had a nice little pleasant drizzle, and the singing was good, and the speaking was good, and the fact that you had 3 presidents there, and also you had President Kennedy's daughter and President Johnson's daughter, and you had Native Americans, you had Latino, you had Maori warriors, and you had people from the Bahamas, and you had the gay lesbian coalition speaking, and the trade union. It was the coming together of all of America.
No, it certainly sounds that way. Let me just. Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying that I don't know how they gauged the crowd, but it looked like it was as big as it was 50 years ago.
Amazing. Let me ask you one thing. There's a headline out there today that, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but that Tim Scott, the only African American in the Senate who's a Republican from South Carolina, was not invited. If that's the case, I would assume you would say that should have been rectified somehow.
No, I know that all of the. I don't think we invited any members of the Congress, to my knowledge. In fact, I didn't have anything to do with the organizing, but I know we made a special effort to get both of the President Bushes there.
Right.
And I would. Actually, the Black Caucus was not very well represented. There was a governor from Maryland was there, and you had a congresswoman of the Congressional Black Caucus spoke, but I didn't see too many and John Lewis, of course,
right, was
one of the chairs.
Well, Mr. Ambassador, what did you think of the president's speech? I mean, obviously he certainly considered this an honor, but also I'm sure there's a lot of pressure on someone like him standing there 50 years later in his position as the first African American president. What did you think of what he had to say?
Well, I thought what he had to say was quite appropriate. And he said that, you know, the dream has made tremendous strides and has inspired significant changes, including, you know, his being president, but that we still had a long way to go, and that the need for the dream lives on. I think Jimmy Carter spoke very well, you know, reminding people that when he was first elected to the school board in Georgia, it was a totally segregated school where the students had no books hardly and were meeting in churches and living rooms and everything else. And you know, that we've come a long way.
We have come a long way.
But we've still got problems. And Bernice King touched a note that I think we can't really solve the economic problems just for America. That this is so much a global economy now. If there's a recession in China, or if there are riots in Egypt, and there's a war in Syria, then it affects our economy. Just the talk of action in Syria drove the stock market down this morning. So the job of the president is more complicated than it's ever been before, and I think people were really appreciative of the struggles that he has, and I think he got good support from that crowd.
It certainly seemed that way. That's for sure. But let me ask about remarks that you made that we played while we were getting you on the phone, sir. And you were on, I think, MSNBC maybe earlier today about Trayvon Martin. You know, Martin Luther King III mentioned Trayvon Martin on Saturday, I believe it was, and Alveda King, Dr. Alveda King, his cousin, said that she would not have brought up Trayvon Martin in the way that he did. But you referred to Trayvon Martin as a martyr, and said that, you know, we've had martyrs over the years, and you talked about the girls who were killed in the church after the speech by Dr. King. You talked about Emmett Till. You put Trayvon Martin, sir, in that category?
I do, because it's a needless, sacrificial death. And I told that to his mother, and I said, you know, Dr. King always said that unearned suffering is redemptive. And that in the church, we've always said that there's no remission of sins without the shedding of innocent blood. And I said, now, I told her, I said, I feel sorry for Zimmerman too.
I was going to bring that up because we did play that, sir.
No,
yes.
No, he's a, you know, I walk. Yeah, but I said that I would. I mean, his life is ruined.
You told that to Trayvon Martin's mother, sir?
I did. You know, that his life is ruined too. That is you know, trying to substitute a gun for real manhood is not what we want to bring up. It's not the way we want to raise our young people. I mean, that was a no-win situation for America. And every incident of violence is that way.
Let me ask you this: 50 years hence, when neither one of us will be sitting here, in all probability, how would you like to see America? In other words, if this dream is going to be realized to fruition, what would you like to see this country be like in 50 years from now?
Well, one, I'd like to see an America where everybody got a good education, guaranteed. And when I say guaranteed, I mean like we do it in Georgia. In Georgia, we took the lottery money and we put it in preschool and higher education. So that almost any student in Georgia that gets a B average and can make 1,100 on the SAT can go to college free. And if you can't make 100 on the SAT, you can go to one of our trade schools and come out with a job. And
We have a 92% success rate.
So you do believe that, and it's interesting that you hit on education first. You do believe that education is the key.
Well, no, we also have started teaching kids to create their own jobs. It's education and entrepreneurship.
Right. Well,
And, I mean, the problem in Egypt, for instance, is there not enough jobs. And people are not reinvesting the money that they're making in business.
Yeah, well, yeah, Egypt is certainly has a lot of problems, and that certainly is one of them. Mr. Ambassador, I thank you for sharing on this very special day, and thank you very much for talking with us. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just was thanking you, sir, for sharing your thoughts on this day. Appreciate it very much.
Okay.
All right, take care. That's Ambassador Andrew Young, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you listening, of course, in Atlanta know that he's the former mayor of Atlanta and former U.S. congressman as well, and one of the mainstays of the civil rights struggle here in the United States. Interesting that he actually said to Trayvon Martin's mother. See, I don't agree. I don't understand really how you put Trayvon Martin in that category of martyr, along with the girls who were blown up in the church for being black, along with Emmett Till, who was, brutally murdered for being black. I don't understand that. But to then in the next breath say George Zimmerman's life has been ruined also, I admire him for that. And to tell that to Trayvon Martin's mother, I thought speaks a lot to who the ambassador is as well. All right, folks, so we're going to come back. We're going to turn it completely around. Robert Davi, the great actor and singer, is making an appearance right here in the New York area this Friday night, a free concert. He'll be in Vegas in a few weeks. We'll tell you all about it and also get his take on the Miley Cyrus incident and more right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message because there is hope. No matter what addiction you or your loved one is coping with, you are just one phone call away from real help. Recovery Hotline makes the healing process simple and affordable by matching people to fully certified and experienced inpatient facilities that are right for their personal situations. Call 800-668-1286 now. Don't wait another day. Money does not have to be an issue. Most insurance is accepted. Just call 800-668-1286 today. Recovery Hotline's mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober life. And we can even help with family interventions and travel arrangements. One phone call is all it takes to get back the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call 800-668-1286. That's 800-668-1286. 800-668-1286. Again, 800-668-1286.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement.
You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system.
Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
If you need to lose weight and would like to get paid for it, that's right, I said get paid to lose weight. Just listen to the following announcement. The makers of GCE Green Coffee Bean Weight Loss are looking for real testimonials from real people and will pay you per pound to meet or exceed your weight loss goal. Until now, the secrets of green coffee's fat-burning power has been limited, but thanks to Dr. Oz, the secret is out. And now, this authentic green coffee bean fat burner is available in easy-to-take tablets. There are no expensive meals to buy or strenuous workouts. Simply take one tablet before each meal and record your progress. Only the first 200 callers are guaranteed to be accepted into the program. So if you're serious about losing extra weight and want to earn extra cash for fitting into your skinny jeans again, call 800-383-9230 now. Call 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. Space is limited, so hurry and secure your spot today. 800-383-9230. Some conditions apply. 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
I've got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow, got that string around my finger. What a world, what a life, I'm in love. I've got a song that I sing, I can make the rain go anytime I move my finger. Lucky me, can't you see I'm in love? Life is a beautiful thing. As long as I hold that string, I'd be a silly so-and-so if I should ever...
Steve Malzberg show, and this is what happens sometimes. I am feverishly trying to find the phone number for my buddy Robert Davi, who couldn't make it up to the studio. He's in the city. He's preparing for his concert. That was the voice of Robert Davi from Davi Sings Sinatra on the Road to Romance. You could check it all out at robertdavi.com. I was really looking forward to getting his take on the Miley Cyrus performance, incident, whatever you want to call it. And more, here we go. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Come here, guys. Take my BlackBerry and call him up. We will get to Robert Davi. We will get to Robert Davi. We're going to go to Kansas again. Anyway, he might call. He might have gotten the second one, but here's the first one. Go call him. Take it. Go, 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 go. All right, so Robert Davi will be at Harry Chapin Lakeside Theater at Eisenhower Park in Nassau County this Friday at 7 p.m. It's a free concert. If you're listening in the New Jersey area, New York area, Long Island, wherever you're listening or watching on Newsmax TV or however you're listening or watching to us, because we're all over the place, as you well know, apps and everything else, check out Robert Davi, Davi Sings Sinatra. He'll be at the Harry Chapin Lakeside Theater at Eisenhower Park on Friday. It's free. And then he'll be in Vegas with Don Rickles. He'll be in Vegas with Don Rickles, and that'll be September 28th and 29th. So you're not going to want to miss that. And we're joined right now by the man himself. Hello, sir.
Hello, Stevie. How's it going?
How are you? You know, I didn't have your number memorized, and I was just scrambling here.
I thought it was in your book.
It should be, but it's a different cell phone. Don't ask. You know the
All right,
whatever
I
could
know
go
the
wrong
drill.
goes wrong. Anyway, great to talk to you again. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wanted to come in there, but I'm just rushing around here. I'm still in the car.
I told everybody that you're where you're going to be Friday night at Eisenhower Park, Harry Chapin Theater, and it's going to be a great show.
Yeah, it's a free concert. Bring your blankets, bring your chairs, and if you want to sneak a bottle of whatever you're imbibing, go ahead. Possibly Jack Daniels, because that's what I talk about. But yeah, we're going to do a great show. I'm very excited about my homecoming to Long Island.
Why? Well, we can't wait. Now, let me ask you this.
You're coming, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I'm going to call you after the show, and we're going to talk about all of that. I want to ask you something though. Miley Cyrus.
I love it.
Tell me about your reaction to what she did.
Now.
What's
I'm
that?
giving twerk lessons to the world now. I've decided that I'm going to go out there because so many people don't know how to twerk, and I figured, they can't beat them. Join them. Let's get why don't we have the Million Twerk March on Washington, D.C.? I think that's what we're going to do. We need to do something to kind of like shake it up, shake up Congress, and I think if we twerked outside the Congressional Hall, we could talk about a lot of different things.
But what did you? I mean, look, I have no problem with what she does. I couldn't care less what she does. But my problem is, and I guess parents should know better than if their kids are watching that, though. Is that, and that's not even the twerking. It's the simulated masturbation, the simulated intercourse, the simulated oral sex. I mean, that went, I think, a little too far. No.
You know what, bro? It's become an Andy Warhol factory kind of world, where who can shock who? Truth or dare. I mean, look, it's not my style, and it's not. I wouldn't be doing that. Is it like watching a car wreck? Yeah, in a way. I mean, I don't understand look, it's about getting that attention. In another 15 minutes, they're going to remember Miley Cyrus twerking and something else and whatever it is. And look, kids have their own understanding of things. My kids, that they were shocked about that. All right, I got my girls that are 21 and 23.
Right.
My twins that are 12 and they're going to be 13 in 6 months. My daughter and my son, they both looked at that and were, did not find it attractive. You know what I mean? Scratching their heads. What the heck was that all about?
Right.
And how she hurts herself by doing that. You know what I mean? So kids will have their own reaction to it. What I find is that the public's reaction, in terms of the media's reaction, giving that so much attention, instead of giving this guy that got the Congressional Medal of Honor, Carter, that kind of attention.
Yep.
That's the kind of attention the media should be like blasting out to the youth, to the heroic deeds of this guy. Talk about what he did, the sacrifices he made, the post-traumatic stress that he talks about. This is what they should be celebrating. This is what we should be bringing up. That's an aside note that's going to fall by the wayside in the next 15 years anyway, and there'll be somebody else coming out doing something like when the streaker came across the Academy Awards for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's a footnote in the history of something. But what we should do is we should hold the media accountable for not treating Carter like a rock star. You know what I mean? That's where I would like to see these VMA awards and the Academy Awards and the Music Awards, where they bring out, and watch, somebody will do this now because I've said it, because my ideas are always forward-thinking, where we bring out these Congressional Medal. This is who we show the heroes.
I think that is a wonderful idea. Listen, we're gonna take this out from your CD, Davi Singh Sinatra. The website is davisingsinatra.com. And folks, this Friday, go check them out at the Harry Chapin Theater at Eisenhower Park on Long Island, and then Vegas with Don Rickles. On the 28th and 29th. We're going to take you out, my friend. Great to talk to you. I look forward to your first twerking lesson. Could we have a little music, please, on the Steve Malzberg Show? Have a good one, everybody.
Of life, I just picked me a plum. You came